everyone, it's Jill the Wandering Stamper. I cannot wait to get started today to show you this really cool project we're going to work on today. We are going to use the brand new online exclusive set that Stampin' Up! Has put out as of March 4th, and that is the Flowering Zinnias Suite. Oh my goodness, the paper is gorgeous. The bling that can go on it is gorgeous. The stamp set and dies are gorgeous, and it has a coordinating 3D embossing folder. So it can make the most beautiful cards and vibrant and happy. Just the colors are great. So I'm super excited about it. I've been having a blast playing with it. And we are going to make a box set of 6 note cards and coordinating envelopes. And because they're note cards, they're 3.5 by 5. So you may not have the envelope size for these cards. So I'm going to show you how to make the envelope too. Super simple, and it's going to make the perfect gift for somebody you love. So let's get the camera turned down and get started. I'm so excited that you joined me today. Here are the gorgeous products we're going to be working with today. As I mentioned, we're going to be using this brand new Simply Zinnia stamp set. So pretty. Look how gorgeous it is. Lots of flowers. And then the coordinating dies will also cut out, I've got a couple extra pieces here. The coordinating dies will also cut out these beautiful flowers so you can build your own flowers as well as stamping the flowers that are in the stamp set. So super versatile. It's got some really nice sayings. Words fail to express my gratitude. Thank you so much, and sending flowers and thinking of you. So these are beautiful sayings, and of course you can coordinate your sayings from other stamps as well. We're going to be using the coordinated 3D or adhesive back shiny sequins. These are so pretty, and they match the paper perfectly. And then I've paired it with the Ribbon Duo Combo Pack. I just noticed that it goes really well together. It's not part of the suite, but this really pretty green and pink ribbon looks super nice with it. So we're going to use that. It also comes with a coordinating embossing folder. Let me grab it for you. We're not using that right now, but it is absolutely pretty. It's the Zinnia 3D embossing folder, and it's going to make these beautiful flowers. And oh my gosh, can you imagine brayering some color or brushing color, or just so many different ways you can use this. So I'm super excited to play with this on another occasion. And then let me show you this paper. This paper is so gorgeous. Let me get our project materials out of the way real quick and show you this pack of paper. You have got these beautiful designs. We have, I mean, look at this. Gorgeous, colorful, bright springtime, and I love the reverse side. But we've got this pack of paper has just, here's another design, and the back. So the coordinating backs, that's what makes Stampin' Up! So special. Here's a greenery, and of course another back. And then we've got this one, which you can use for your card. Oh my gosh, these make your cards so pretty when you cut it so that the white shows up in the card. You can put your message right on it. Super, super pretty. And look at the design on the back of that one. Absolutely gorgeous. Here's another sheet. These are little flowers, so you could do some focal point on the front of this and it would be perfect. And then you've got this really pretty pink and white polka dot. So love that. And then finally, we've got this design in, I believe, Poppy Parade and Real Red kind of mixed together. Super, super pretty and elegant. And the back has this really pretty red pattern. So this paper is so pretty, so stunning. I've had to get a second pack because I've already used probably half of it playing around with it. I love it so much. So I'm going to set that aside and get it out of the way somewhere safe so we can get started on this card. And I've got a couple of things I'm going to show you how to do today. Look at this. I have so much on my desk. I'm trying to find a place to put it all. Okay. So we are going to create today a note card and envelope holder. Super pretty. It's going to hold 6 cards and 6 envelopes, and it all goes in this nice, neat little box with a little ribbon tie on the side. So this is what I'm going to show you how to make. So let's get going. So I'm going to get my paper cutter out first, and we're going to start out with a box, and I've chosen Old Olive for the box because I want to use this beautiful paper on the box. So we're going to get our piece of Old Olive out, and we're going to cut that 9 inches by 5.5. So I usually go ahead and cut the 5.5. And we're going to be using this other piece for another part of the box. And then it's 9 inches, and I know this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so instead of bringing my arm out, I'm just going to cut 2 inches off right now. So now I have paper that is cut 9 by 5.5. Now I'm going to put it on the long side, and I'm going to score it at 4 inches and 5 inches. So 4 inches and 5 inches. And that's it for that. So we're going to set this piece aside, and I'm going to cut the inside pocket. So the inside pocket is going to be 2 3/4 by 9 1/4. So I'm going to take that piece that we had extra, and I'm going to cut it at 2 3/4 and then 9 1/4. So I'm going to pull that arm out here and cut it at 9 1/4. And then I'm going to do some scoring on it. So we're going to score at 3/4 inch. And then we're going to score it at 4 3/8 inches. And then 5 1/8. And then finally 8 3/4. Okay, so that was 3/4, 4 3/8, 5 1/8, and 8 3/4. Then we're going to turn it sideways, and we're going to score it one more time at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so there we go. So now the last piece you're going to need is like a 1" by 11" strip of paper, and I need to grab another piece of old olive. Let's see if this is 11 inches. I believe it is. Yes. Love using my scraps, so I'm going to cut 1 inch of this and set it aside. We'll use that shortly. Okay. So this is a scrap. All right, so that's all the cutting we're going to do for the moment. So we have our 1 by 11" scrap. That is going to hold our envelopes in place later. And then we've got our box. So we're going to start out with our box. It's not really a box, it's more like a book. But I'm going to go ahead and fold my 2 score lines and use my bone folder and give it a good crease. You want it to be nice and crisp. And it's a good time to make sure all your edges are scored straight, because sometimes we just don't score very straight, right? All right, so that's all we need to do for that. I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to play around with this box. So I like to first do score down the crease down the 3/4 inch score line and then pop it back out. It's just easier for me to see where I'm cutting. So this is what we're going to do. So this is going to be the front of our box, and then this is going to create the bottom flaps. So the first thing we're going to do, I have it backwards. We're going to score it this way. Okay, so we have the thinnest score line over here, and we have the thicker score line over here. So this is that 3/4 inch score line, and then this is that 8 3/4. So on the smaller one, we're just going to cut this corner out right here. So just like this, we're going to cut that out. And then while we're here, we're going to notch it to give it a nice little corner. And that's just so when we fold our tabs, they're not sticking out. So we're going to angle it here and here. And then we're going to do a little bit of an angle right here. Then we're going to move down to the next score line right here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut it to this 3/4 inch score line. We're going to give it a little notch, and then we're going to give this one a little notch. It doesn't have to be very much. It just helps it to be nice and flat when you fold it up and nothing sticks out funny. So that's all we're doing. Super simple. Just cut those little notches out, and then we have the last one right here. And then we're going to cut a little notch and a little notch, and then one more little notch here. Okay, that's it. Very easy. So now you have this. So we've got this corner cut out, and a notch and a notch and a notch. And then we've notched it here, and we've cut straight, and then notched and notched, notched and notched, cut straight, and same thing here. So this makes it super easy to fold up now. So let me get these little scraps out of the way. Get my little rolling cart closer. All right, so now we are going to fold it. So what I like to do is just give all of my creases, got a little tab there, give all my creases a little bit of a fold and burnish with the bone folder, and it just helps everything come together nice and crisply. Okay, so that's done. So the side that has the edges is going to be the back. So you want the front of the box to not have any little edges. So the edges will go on the back. So we're going to start out by just putting some glue on this little tab. And let me just tell you, I got this from my Sweet Petunia. It's a glue press. I've seen a couple of people using these now, and I thought, you know, I use liquid glue a lot. Let me tell you, this thing is a game changer. I love it. I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue down, and then I'm going to lay this flat and then just fold this piece down, and they match up perfectly. Okay? And just give it a good press. Make sure all your edges are straight. Give it a good press. And there you go. So there is the first part of our box, and this is going to be the back of our box. So the next thing we're going to do is fold our two little tabs in, and then this piece is going to fold in because I want, actually this piece is going to fold in. I want the edge to be on the same part of the, this is the back of the box. So we have our paper edge right here where we glued down. So I want this flap to be the same way. That way when we turn our box over, there everything is nice and crisp and perfect. There's no edges sticking up. So once I have that the way I want it, now I just have to put some glue on this piece. So I'm going to grab my little glue press and just put my glue down. I love this glue press because you barely have to press it to get the glue out, and it gives you a very thin stream. You don't have to worry about any big globs, which is great. So I'm going to hold that for just a second, and you can use your bone folder and make sure everything is where it needs to be inside. All right, so there we go. So now our box looks nice and crisp, and it'll be ready to go into our card base. All right, now I noticed on here I pushed it a little too far, and I've got a little tiny bit of paper sticking up, and that's fine because you can just take your scissors and give it a little trim. Get rid of that so it doesn't stick up when we glue it down. So that's perfect. So we're going to set that piece aside, and now let me just show you this really quick. So here is, and this is not an affiliate of mine or anything. I just purchased it because I thought it would make life easier. So you get this whole base, and it holds the glue in without the lid. There's a little silicone piece in there, and when you put the glue down, it seals the top of the thin little glue tip, I guess you could call it. And so you just keep it in there like that, and it doesn't dry out. And if you do want to cap it, you can cap it. This cute little cap actually has a place to hold it, so you won't lose your cap. So it sits there like that, so it's always ready for you. And when you order this, you get it comes with a bottle of this Nuvo glue, which is great glue, but you also get a refillable empty bottle, and so you can take your Tombow or your liquid glue that you normally would use, and you can fill these up, and I think it takes 2 or 3 bottles of this to fill this up, and so you can still use your multi-purpose glue that you love and put it in these. And one of the tips is a little bit thicker than the other tip, so you just choose whatever tip you want and put it on your bottle, and then the bottles just go right into this holder. So this, I think it was $34. I feel like it was a really good deal for how much easier it's going to make life, because I'm constantly gluing and I'm always having to take that lid off and put the lid back on and keep it upside down and all that. And they have figured out a way to make this all work as one piece. So I'm really, really loving this. I'm so glad I saw people using this online. So, okay, we're going to grab our book, I guess. It's not really a box, it's a book. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut the pieces for the front and the back next. So I've chosen some designer series paper that I love, and that is going to be cut 4 by 5.5 inches, and we're going to do 2 of those. So what I like to do, I want to use this because I think it's super pretty. So I'm going to look and see 5.5 inches. So I really want that little bit of white at the top. Sometimes if you have too much white, you can cut a little off the top and then cut the bottom to match, but this is enough white for me. So I'm going to put it on the 5.5 inch mark, and I'm going to be doing 2 of these, so 8 inches. So I'm just going to go down to the 8 inch mark. That way, if I want to use this last few inches with something else, I haven't cut parts of it off. And then I'm going to cut at 4 inches. And I'm just doing it this way because I want to save my paper as much as possible. So that is going to go on the front of our card, just, whoops, like this. And there's no edge or anything. It's exactly to fit the front of the card. Whoops, I should get in your camera. There you go. Just like that. Sometimes I sit too far up in my chair, and I end up doing that to you. I apologize. Okay, I get excited and I sit up close. So these are our 2 pieces. They are going to go on the front and the back of our box. All right, so we're going to set that aside. And the next thing we're going to do is cut another piece of designer series paper. I actually already cut it, so I'm going to show it to you. I wanted to save a little bit of time because you know how to cut paper. So we're going to cut a smaller piece, and I chose this design. This is going to go on the front of our box. So this piece is, what did I cut it at? 3.5 by 1 7/8, and that fits perfectly on the front of our box. And then the last piece of designer series paper I cut is this strip, and this is approximately 5 1/8 inch long by 7/8 inch wide. And we're not going to put this on until we do our envelopes, because you're going to need to figure out where this is going to go on your strip of paper, and you can make your strip of paper wider or narrower. This is just approximate, and I'm going to show you why in just a little bit. So that is everything for our box. So let's go ahead and put the box together. So I am going to set these 2 aside and set this aside. We'll go ahead and glue this on first, because that's easy peasy, right? So I'm just putting some liquid glue on here. I mean, look how easy this is. And then I just pop it right back on its base, and I'm not using my silicone craft sheet, and got some glue there. Okay, now we're just going to put this on here right in the middle, and then you can flip it over and just run your bone folder in the inside, and then it helps kind of put it down nice. So that's done. Now, before we put the box in there, we're going to work on this inside. So I cut a piece of ribbon 24 inches long. This is a really pretty, I believe it's Granny apple green or lemon lime twist. Let me see here. Did they give us that information? I think it's lemon lime twist. Let's see. It does not say, but it's a very light green, probably lemon lime twist, and then there's little white dots on it. It's really super pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this across our box so that when it's closed we can tie the box shut. We don't want to put any adhesive here on the spine. We just want to put it here and here for now. So what I'm going to do is get some tear and tape, because I found that's a great way to hold your ribbon in place. So what I like to do is grab a measuring tool, because I want this to go into the middle, and remember our box was 5.5 inches, so we'll do just about half of that. So what, 2 3/4? So we're going to get our little tool here and just make a little mark at 2 3/4, and that's just so my ribbon is in the same spot. And then I'm going to come down here and mark 2 3/4 again, just with a little line. Remember, we're covering this up completely, so it's not even going to show later. So now that I know where my ribbon's going to go, I'm going to go ahead and grab a piece of tear and tape and put that there, and then flip it around and do a piece over here, and this just kind of holds it nicely together. All right, so that's that. And then I'm going to grab my take your pick tool and peel these off. I could not live without this little tool. I use it so much. I've even used it when I'm not stamping and for other things around the house. Okay, and then for your ribbon, you want to kind of find the center. You don't want one long piece on one end. So I kind of find where the center is, and if you just pinch it, you'll see that little crease. And I put that in the middle, and then I'm just going to anchor my ribbon down with the tear and tape. And whoops, look at that. Do this again. It holds it in place nicely too, so it's not moving around while your glue and your other layers are drying. So that's kind of an added little bonus. Okay, do that again. Got that piece there and this piece here. All right, so that's done. So now we're going to be adding these 2 layers over it. And the reason I didn't put any adhesive here, now on this card, I think we're going to put a spine on it, so we could have, but I wanted to show you not to do it, because then if you decide not to do a spine, it's not going to have any adhesive and it'll look pretty here. So you just want to decide which one is going to be your front. I think this one will be my front. So I'm going to, where's my silicone craft sheet? Let's be safe, right? Let's practice safe gluing. Not get my table gluey, because once I get my table gluey, that's it. It's going to be gluey the rest of the time. If you have arthritis in your hands too, this would probably be a great tool because you don't have to press a lot. All right, so now I'm going to, remember, this fits perfectly on the front of your card. There's no edges. So all I do is put it down and then just kind of square it all up with my hands. And once it looks good, just press it down. All right, and we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Get my glue. And this stream is so steady and so thin that I think your glue would probably end up going further too. And I found it works really great on details. A lot of the time I have to grab my little tiny bottle that I have glue in for tiny details, and I don't know, honestly, it gets stuck, it gets stopped up a lot. So now I can just use this and I don't even have to go to that little bottle with the fine tip on it. Okay, so there we go. So now when we close it, look how pretty. Beautiful. So everything lined up nicely. And if for some reason you didn't cut well and you have a little bit showing, like I have an itty bitty little bit showing, you can just take your scissors and give it a trim. So that was all I had, just a teeny bit. All right, so that's done. So now that that is done, we can put our box in. So to put the box in, we're going to glue it right here like this. All right, so it's kind of going to be centered in the card. Nothing fancy to it. So we're going to flip it over and just put a good amount of glue. You could also use tear and tape if you wanted to. You could use, you wouldn't want to use press and seal because it's hard to push down on it to get it down. But liquid glue or tear and tape works fine. So I want to get it kind of close to the edges, but not too close. If you get a big glob, just move it over. All right. So now I'm going to just plop this down where I want it. I'm just leaving a little bit. It's probably 1/8 to 1/4 inch above the bottom. And then once I have it where I want it, and I know it's pretty straight, then I just take my bone folder and squish it down really good. So it's nice and flat inside, and let it dry. All right. So there is the box that our cards are going to go in. So now we're going to work on our note cards. Easy so far, right? Okay. So to create these cards are actually 3.5 by 5. So I'm going to show you how to make them. So you could make these with basic white cardstock and then just put your designer series paper on the front, or you could mix and match different colors of matching cardstock, which is what I chose to do on this card. So for that, for the cards, we're going to do 6 cards, and they're sized at 3.5 by 5. So we're going to cut our paper 5 by 7 and then score halfway. All right. So what I like to do is on the short side of the paper, I'm going to cut 1.5 inches off because I know this is an 8.5 inch piece of paper and we want our card length to be 7 inches. So I'm going to just cut 1.5 inches off. This is Melon Mambo, by the way. All right. So now I know that that length is right. And then I'm going to score at 3.5. So we're just going to score this whole sheet. And I'm just doing this because I know I'm cutting 2 cards from it. So I don't have to take it out, cut it, score it, take it out, cut it, score it. I'm doing it all at once. So now that we've got that done, we just have to turn it and cut it at 5 inches. And then cut it at 5 inches again. And so now we've got 2 cards. They're already scored. Or you could just cut each card individually. That's fine too. But I just wanted to show you how easy it is to just do it that way and have your 2 cards cut at the same time. So those are our 2 cards. I've already got the other 4 cards cut. But now I'm going to go ahead and grab the designer series paper. And this is going to cover the entire front of the card. So it's going to be 3.5 by 5 because our card base is 3.5 by 5 inches. All right. So just figure out which direction your paper should go. I don't think this one really matters. So I'm just going to cut it like this. And I'm going to cut it at 3.5. Trying to put my scraps on a different spot so I don't get mixed up. By 5. And we're going to do 2 of those. Okay. And then we want to cut a piece for the inside of our card. Did I already do that? Let's see. Yes. So then you're going to want to do 2 pieces for the inside. And I just made them just slightly smaller, so 3.25 by 4 3/4, and I'll show you how that's going to work. All right, so we're going to layer these together. And you're going to make 6 cards. And what I did is I did 2 cards in each, and 3 cards, I did 6 cards, 2 of each color, 2 of each designer series paper. So I didn't make all 6 the same. You could do it however you want. You could make 6 completely different ones if you wanted to. Creativity is yours. So all I'm doing is lining up the edges pretty close and then pop it down. And then just like you did the box, I just kind of use my hands to square it all up. Okay? And then for the inside, we're just gluing that down as well. And you could stamp the inside if you wanted to. I left these note cards, so I didn't put anything in it. You could actually stamp a little flower in there. I'll show you some variations of what I did at the end. But this one I'm just going to leave blank so people can do what they may with it. I actually have a stamp card class coming up, so I think these will be one of my door prizes. So there's our first one, and we're going to quickly get the other one done and move on to the next part. I found this really relaxing to make, and the fact that I could make this as a gift for someone, I just really love that, especially since there's plenty of room to add a gift card if you wanted to. You could put a pretty pen in there. There's plenty of room for a pen. It's just such a nice little gift. I think a Mother's Day gift, this would be great because moms are always giving out little cards, writing a note to a friend, whatever. So this could be a great little gift for Mother's Day, for graduation, because you can add a gift card to it. Makes it that much more fun if you wanted to give it as a gift. All right, so that's done. All right, so there's our card, and let me show you quickly. I've got these already made. These are already cut, so I did 2. Doing 2 with these. And of course, I've got my insides, and I'm not going to glue these right now because I can glue these after, but you get my idea. And then I've got these 2, and I'm putting these. So the green ones were on Old Olive paper, and then this pattern I chose to use Blackberry Bliss. So we've got the outside, the inside, outside, and inside. All right, so there we go. There are our 6 cards. we're going to pretend they're all glued together. And we are going to place them in this box. And they fit perfectly. Look at that. So now we want to make our envelopes. Now, these envelope sizes are going to be smaller than your standard envelope. And you may not have them. So if you are a card crafter, you really need to have one of these envelope punch boards. I love it. This one is by We Are Memory Keepers. I have a link to this on my craft room must-haves if you don't have one. But I love it because it comes with this little tool. It comes with a little punch. And then it gives you all of your card sizes that you might need an envelope for. And there's actually an additional sheet that I have in a drawer that has even more. But all you have to do is figure out your card size and it'll tell you what you need to do to build the envelope. So I'm going to do that for you because some of you don't know how to use this. So our finished cards are 3.5 by 5 inches, which is listed right here. So this tells me that I need a piece of paper 7.25 by 7.25, and my score line is going to be at 3.1/8 inch. So the great thing about it is you can use designer series paper to create your envelopes if you'd like to. So if you have a lot of designer series paper and you can match up your card with that designer series paper, use it. But if not, you can get a heavier duty copy paper, which is what I did. I want to say it's 24-pound paper, but I'm not sure. I threw the package away and just have it in a paper, kind of a paper holder. But this is sort of the same weight that an envelope would be at. So all I'm doing is taking my paper and I'm going to cut it at 7.25 because that's what it told me I needed. So we're going to cut it 7.25 inches. And if you're doing 6 envelopes, you can cut like 3 sheets of this paper at once, which makes it really easy. Just make sure your paper is nice and, you know, stacked together nicely. But you don't have to cut these one at a time. You can cut them 3 at a time and get your 6 cards done pretty quick. So that's a 7.25 by 7.25 piece of paper. So now we're going to grab our tool. And then remember, it told me I needed to place it on the 3.1/8 inch line. So 3.1/8 is right here. Okay, so just remember, you only put it on the 3.1/8 inch on the first swipe of the scoring blade. So I have the edge at 3.1/8. I'm going to punch, which is going to create the notch. And then I'm going to line my scoring tool up with this. There's a little notch here, and you just line your scoring tool and lightly score it, just enough to give it an indentation. Once you do that, you're going to turn your paper. See how it gave me a little notch. Now there's this little piece here that sticks out. Hopefully you can see that. There's a little notch that sticks out. We're lining that notch up with the score line that we just made. Okay, so I'm going to put it on that score line because see, now our paper's at 4.1/8. So it's going to be different depending on what kind of envelope you're making. So you line up that score line, and once it's lined up, you punch to give it another notch, and then you're going to score. Okay, then you're going to turn and do the same thing until you've done all 4 sides. So I'm lining it up on my score line, punching, and then scoring. And then I'm going to do it one more time, lining it up on my score line, punching, and scoring. Okay, so now I have my envelope template is made. So now my card is longer than it is tall. So I know these 2 pieces I want to notch. So there's a little corner punch on the opposite side. So I'm going to corner punch that and corner punch that. Now you could actually, and we'll do it, where you can actually corner punch all 4 if you want. But if you're in a hurry, you only really have to corner punch the top and the bottom because those are the parts I'm going to show the most. So then when you're done, you have all the little punches right here. And if it gets hard to punch, it means that you have a big pile of paper underneath there and you just have to just take it away. All right, so that's how you use this punch board. And it's really a game changer when you're making a card and you go, uh-oh, I don't have an envelope. Or maybe you ran out of envelopes. So this is great. So to build this, now I'm just going to fold the 2 sides in on my score lines. And then I'm going to fold up the bottom. All right, so now I have the envelope shape. And so what I like to do is I don't fold the top until later. Now I'm going to just put a little bit of liquid glue down and get this side done too. And then just fold it back up and give it a press. Okay, so there's our envelope. Now you're probably wondering, well, how are people going to seal this? So what I do is, now that I have the bottom done, I'll go ahead and fold the top like that. And I use my tape. So I will use my my tear and tape. Sorry, I had a momentary lapse there. And I just put a piece here, and I just don't pull up the paper. So when somebody wants to mail it, they just have to pull up, you know, if they want to mail one of these cards, they just have to pull up the tab on the paper. So just like that. So that's all I do. So now they've got the adhesive. And then there's our envelope, but we want to give it one more level of cool awesomeness. So I've loaded a stamp. This is called the Mini Misty, and I've been using this lately. The magnet's super strong. I've been using this lately because I just want to make sure I don't, especially with an envelope, I want to make sure I don't mess this up and have to make another envelope, because it takes a little time to make an envelope. So I just lined my stamp up where I wanted it. It's great for positioning. And the great thing is, if you don't put enough ink on it, you can stamp again and it's going to be in the same spot. So I just anchored my envelope down, and then I'm using Melon Mambo because our card front coordinates really well with Melon Mambo, and we use Melon Mambo cardstock. So I just ink that up and then press down like that. Make sure I get a nice little seal, and there's our envelope decorated. Now, if you found that you missed a spot, you didn't push down evenly or whatever, you can ink it up again and put it back down and fix it. So that is great, especially when you're doing assembly line projects. You can get all of that stamping done at once, and your card is going to be perfect. So this envelope is done. And then to clean this off, if I'm going to be using it for another, if I'm going to be making another card in a different color, I just keep some baby wipes in my stamp stash. And then I'll just take my baby wipe and just wipe off. This is a plant-based one, so I feel like it's nice and gentle. What brand is this? This is the Can Do flushable baby wipes, and they're plant-based, so I feel like they're nice and chemical-free. I think regular baby wipes are fine, but I just wipe it down. It's great for wiping off anything. And then I just set it aside because I might use it for something else. And now I'm ready for changing colors to do another thing. So here's the rest of my envelopes. And I just decorated, since I used 2 Old Olive cardstock bases and 2 Blackberry Bliss, then I also made 2 Melon Mambos. So there are my 6 envelopes. All right, so now we want to fit our envelope. Our envelopes are going to go right here. So how are we going to do that? All right, so first I'm going to look at why that card was, okay, it's fine. I looked at that card for a second and it didn't look like it fit. Did I do something wrong? No, it's fine. It was optical illusion. Okay. Sometimes I'll make myself crazy. All right, so we're going to take our envelopes that we made. And remember that 1 by 11 strip of paper? So this is what we're going to do. So I like to kind of lay this on my card stack, my envelope stack, right in the middle, kind of even it up as much as possible. And then I just lightly fold it over on each side. You don't want it too crazy hard to get to, okay? And so then, now if you notice that doesn't quite reach, so what I do, I always have a gazillion scraps around my stamp room, and it doesn't matter what color it is because we're just going to be gluing it. So you could use 12 by 12 paper and not have to worry about this step. I just use the 11 inch and close the gap. So I just grab a little bit of tear and tape just because I want this part to be nice and strong. And then I'm going to grab another piece right here. Okay. And then I just grab a little scrap of paper. So well, I could use anything. Let me just cut. So that'll work. Just going to use that. So I'm going to get my, it's not going to show. That's why I say it doesn't really matter. It's not going to show. So I'm going to use the same color paper, and I'm just going to pop this down like this. All right, so now it's matched up, and it's going to be on here, so it doesn't matter if it's perfect. So now I'm just going to add a good amount of glue to the back. I'm going to glue this one down. Okay, and flip it over, and now you're just going to lay this down, and you want to be mindful that you don't get too close to that crease, that score line right there, because you want your card to bend easily. So I get it all in place, and then just hold it for a second, let it set, and then while that's setting, remember that slightly smaller piece we cut? This is the time where you can kind of look and see if you need to make it shorter. This actually works out perfect. So I'm going to add some adhesive here. I don't have my silicone craft sheets under it, so hopefully we're not going to get glue on the table. I had to pick some glue off the other day because I didn't use it, and of course that's when I make a mess. All right, and I want my stripes going the same way. So now I'm going to pop this on here. Look how pretty this is. And you have plenty of room here to put, you could put more cards and more envelopes. You have room to probably put, you could probably make this an 8-pack easily if you wanted to. It actually has plenty of room for a pen. You could put a pen in here, a shorter pen. You don't want it sticking out, but it works really well. And then I have one more piece, if I can find it. Here it is. I stamped out this beautiful stamp from the stamp set and colored it in, and I added some Wink of Stella. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I thought this would be really pretty placed across here. And I colored these in using the alcohol-based markers. So I did the leaves in Granny Apple Green. I used the dark and the light, of course, of everything. I used the Pumpkin Pie, Melon Mambo, and Daffodil Delight. And so that's what I used to color these in, and they're just so pretty. So I think I'm going to pop this on right here, and I'm only going to kind of go down the middle of these flowers because I want to make sure I don't get it on the envelopes, right? So I just kind of put it down the middle, and I'm going to pop this down, and it just is so, so pretty. And I'm going to peek and make sure. I like to peek and make sure I didn't get glue where I'm not supposed to, and I did not. So there we go. So the inside is done. Look how gorgeous. You have your 6 cards, your 6 homemade envelopes. All of your decorations are perfectly coordinated. You could actually add another message right here if you'd like. There's plenty of room for a pen. You could pop a gift card in right in here. It fits perfectly. And then you tie it up, and that part is done. So now we want to decide what's going to go on the front. So I have a scrap here. I actually wrote scrap on it because sometimes I forget which piece is my scrap. I'm going to take that off. And so what I think we're going to do is add the stamp that says words fail to express my gratitude. I just love that stamp. So let me grab that. So we're going to grab that, and then we're also going to create the spine. We're going to grab that. Love these stamps. All right. And then we're going to stamp in, let's stamp in Melon Mambo. I think that'll be really pretty. All right. So I'm going to stamp words fail to express my gratitude. And you could totally use your Mini Misty so that your words are straight. I'm pulling this out of the camera so I can make sure I get this straight. I know that's probably annoying to you, but if I don't do that, it's going to be crooked. All right, that's ugly. We're going to do it one more time. Paper has two sides for a reason, right? Okay, so there's our words, and I kind of purposely put it up a little higher because I figured I was probably going to trim my paper, which I am. So I'm going to trim it down just a bit. That's pretty good. All right. And you know what? Let's give it a little trim on the end too. All right. And this is great too, because if you do what I just did, you can kind of look and see how straight you are. That looks good. All right. So now I've got my piece cut down a little, so I'm going to grab my Very Best Trio punch. And I'm going to give it, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm holding it the wrong way. I'm going to give those edges a little trim. And I am cutting this so that you have to flip it around when you're cutting it so that your two sides match, but look how pretty that is. So now I'm going to cut this end, flip it, and cut it one more time. All right, look how pretty. So I'm gonna look and see. It's a little too big, but you know what? I'm not mailing this, so it's okay. So I'm gonna pop that on there. That's good enough. Normally, if I were mailing that, I wouldn't want it to hang off, but it's fine that it hangs off because we're not mailing it. It's going to be a gift. Or we're not going to put it in an envelope, that is, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm grabbing my dimensionals. And it looks like I'm out of big ones. Let's grab some big ones. I go through some dimensionals, let me tell you. All right, so I've got this flipped over to the back. Remember, I messed up on it. That's why you're seeing words back here. Those new packs of dimensionals are hard to grab until you get it going. Now, the nice thing is you're not really putting this through a mail meter, so you don't have to worry about having so many dimensionals on it like you would if this were a card that was more flat going in a mail meter, because you don't want the mail meter to squish them. So I'm just kind of making sure it's sort of balanced, but it doesn't have to be quite so perfect. So that should be good. Actually, I could have probably spaced them out a little more, but it's okay. All right, so now I'm going to just take all of these back pieces off. Thank goodness they're not shiny. You can kind of tell. You can tell when they're off. Okay. Let's get all of this out of the way. So now I'm just going to figure out where I want to put it. I'll put it about, how about right there. Okay. Look how pretty. So pretty. So now this is optional. You could totally decorate the spine. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. So I'm grabbing the stamp that says sending flowers and thinking of you. And we're going to stamp that in the same color. So I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to pull this out of the way. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I will never get it straight. So there we go. So that's inked up. And we'll just put some glue down. So if you're not decorating the spine, totally fine. And I'll show you one of my samples. I didn't decorate the spine, but that's why you didn't want to have any adhesive on the back of the spine, because if you choose not to decorate it, you don't want that to be ugly. You want it to be pretty. So now I'm just going to add this. And I cut it just slightly smaller than the spine because you want it to bend freely. So there we go. So now all we have left are some embellishments. So let's go ahead and add, gosh, I don't even know what color I want to add. Let's add these. These are a little bit of every color. So let's put one here. And then we'll put one here in this blank spot and one here. There we go. So that's it. Look how beautiful. Who isn't going to absolutely love getting this set of cards? So we added our spine, we added our tag, we've got plenty of cards inside for everybody with matching envelopes that you can say you made in hand. Here's a very similar card box. I didn't add a spine this time, so you just see the pretty ribbon. I used a smaller tag and just used that Sending Flowers and Thinking of You on the front, and I used the green embellishments. And then on the inside, I made my 6 cards, but as you can see, I used the same patterns, but all I did was put them on basic white cardstock. So that's way quicker and simpler if you choose. And it's super pretty. It's still perfectly pretty. And you actually have a little more room when you use the white paper, so you could definitely make this a bigger pack if you just use the basic white paper. So there's that one. And then this one was so much fun. This one I created using the dies, and I created 3 zinnias in Highlander Heather, Highlander Heather, Pumpkin Pie, and Melon Mambo. And then I added my greeting and my message on the spine, and I used the polka dotted paper this time. And then on the inside, 3 of the cards have a little flower that I built, so it's totally 3D. So I die cut these flowers, built them all together, put them all together. There's 2 layers of flower and then the leaf. And then once those were all put together, then I added them to every other card. So every other card has one of those flowers. Super pretty way to add a little extra pizzazz to your project. So there you go. There are our three note card boxes with 6 note cards and 6 homemade envelopes. So let me know what you think about this. I will have all of the cutting dimensions and instructions on my blog, wanderingstamper.com. There's a link below, and also everything you see here will be in my online store. I'll also put a link to the Sweet Petunia, the Mini Misty, and the glue press because it's awesome. I don't get anything from that, but I love to share those types of things with people. When they make my life easier, I know they're going to make your life easier. So I will have everything here. I so appreciate you joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you don't, so that you never miss out on a new way to create something that everyone will love. I'm Jill the Wandering Stamper, and I hope you get a chance to craft today.